Hi, this is Christine with IdeateTV, and I have here Mr. Florante, Miss Jennifer, and Mr. Cass. Can you tell us a little bit about Samahan and how it all started?
Okay, well, we started in 1972, February. I don't know the exact date, but it has been 40 years. Samahang Pilipino is an organization. Actually, it started as a club when we formed, and we started off as 3 students that registered as an official organization of the campus of UCLA. And I give credit to Florante here, who's a dear friend of mine from childhood, to get 3 students who didn't really know each other to use our registration cards to make the formal application. So that's how we formed in 1972.
That's very interesting. So back then, there weren't a lot of Filipinos going to UCLA, I'm assuming?
Well, Filipino students, maybe my husband can speak about it. He came in 1967, and when I came in 1970, I couldn't identify who were Filipino students on a campus where there were 30,000 students. So, but maybe
the only Filipino students that were here were really my sister and my brother, and myself. We didn't really see anyone, even though I was a zoology major. So I was a science individual, and we stayed on the South Campus. But it was also a time, though, where there was a changing environment. There was a civil rights movement that was blossoming. There was the anti-war movement, and also very specifically the Asian American consciousness movement. That we began to recognize our heritage and our history. And I was very active with the Asian Pacific American Study Center and helped teach a teaching assistant for classes. At the same time, was concerned about our own heritage as Filipinos, and met these 2 students at that time. One eventually became my wife, essentially to talk about our roles in this campus. And I think what was important to us was make sure we bridged the community, the Filipino community, and the students here on campus. And I think we tried to do that in almost every activity we started to do. I think we got involved in teach-ins, and I think other areas that I know Florante was kind of directing us.
Mr. Florante, did you want to talk a little bit more about the Samahan?
Well, yeah, actually, so just to clarify, so I wasn't a student at the time. I was actually working as staff at the Asian American Studies Center here at UCLA. And, came on because it was during this identity movement of other organizations, MECHA, the Black Student Union. We thought it was about time that the Filipinos also got themselves together. So we formed the organization basically around a potluck because Filipinos love food. We saw who showed up, and it was amazing because so many students said, "I see you in the elevators in the dorms," and I didn't know you were Filipino because you never talk, right? But out of that, we had some amazing times. We were able to win some trophies at the Mardi Gras celebration, and they could probably talk more about. I'm not even sure where those trophies are anymore because
we gave it back to Samahang Pilipino. At the same time, as part of what we did here on campus is one is I began to teach a class on Filipino American history. The class helped put together Letters in Exile. We got to know the Agbayani village, and in fact helped build Agbayani village as part of the class, and also as part of our own education about our community. Later on, a Filipino Youth Center, but when you're organizing all this, it's like 6 or 7 people pretty much doing a lot of the work. So we're really grateful for the leadership after we came through and graduated, because they kept it going.
That's what I wanted to ask. How does it feel now, 40 years later, to see something that you've started with such a small group grow this big?
Well, our alumni now is probably in the 5,000 as far as the numbers for the last 40 years. And if you compare that with other ethnic groups, it's still a small number.
It is?
We still have struggles, we still have concerns in our community of the leadership for the future. We're hoping that the education that our Filipino American students or Filipino American students of Philippine background or heritage will learn and discover or rediscover their roots, incorporate it within the American experience, and return to their communities, whatever that community will be. That they're sensitive, that they appreciate where they came from, and what skills, what talents they had, they return to their community, just as we have done. We've all come back and we've made it a point to contribute somehow to the community that we are in, and our children have also been given that example, so that they too are sensitive to not only what used to be an ivory tower environment, an elitist environment, but something that they are willing to take back with them. And it's a humbling experience, because having a UCLA education is not easy. It is a sacrifice, it's hard work, it's determination, and many times it's not the grade point average that you achieve or the scholarship. Those are all expected of us. But the fact that we take our talents, our treasure, and the time to give back. And I think that was the main focus of Samahang Pilipino.
Thank you so much for all your contributions to the Filipino community. This is Khristine with IdeateTV.